All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another golf video. Today we're looking at the Cognizant Classic here being played at PGA National. In this video, I want to dive into this tournament. We'll dive into the course. We'll go through, build a model together, kind of look at the players that I'm eyeing as of right now, guys that I think kind of fit the bill to perform well at this course. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment. It'll take you to the Guy Boston Sports site where I list out all of my plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself for the weekend. Absolutely free. That's down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3, 4. More juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. In terms of how we made out last week, kind of an interesting one, because from the bottom half of your screen down, we did pretty damn well. These other plays, right? Pan, Norgard to make the cut, that parlay cashed. Patrick Rogers, over 8.5 fairways hit in round 1, that cashes. That was actually our biggest play on the board, 0.4 units. Our tournament matchups, we go 3 and 2. We love to see that. Hitting this 3 ball for +120 was nice as well. But our finishing positions, man. Can we drop a damn womp womp for that? Joel Damon being the only one we hit. Yes, it was for +125. We love the plus number there, but very, very tough. So it was a decent week, right? I'm not going to sit here and brag about it, but it wasn't the worst week overall either. Want to be a little bit better, but now we're kind of getting into the golf season, right? Where we're sinking our teeth in. We had the West Coast swing. We had the Mexico. Now we're in the Florida swing of things. Hopefully a little bit more predictable, less volatile. So we hope. It is still betting golf, which is super volatile in the first place. But nonetheless, like I said, we're going to dive into this tournament here. The field is so-so. There are some spots that I like, some that are kind of like, what are we doing here? But nonetheless, we'll go through all of that. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's dive into our first tool here. It's going to be datagolf.com, and it's just a kind of bird's eye view at what correlates well and what is important on this course. You can see driving distance as well as approach is going to be kind of what we're focusing on here. And if we look at this over on Data Golf's course table, right, we're going to kind of go through and what is truly important on the course. If we do type in PGA National, you can see right here, okay, ranking-wise, number 2 in terms of strokes gained outside of 150 yards, and then on the approach, number 5. This is ranking them overall, right? So like if we look at these courses and we say, okay, the easiest courses right out of the top 100 and the hardest. So PGA National number 2 in terms of that yardage and the number 5 in terms of approach overall. We do have, this is last season's to kind of go through as well. And one thing I wanted to look at, so if we do just look at the winner, Austin Eckroat, right? This is rankings in the field in terms of their strokes gained. If we filter to the top guys, strokes gained putting, where do they finish? Not exactly all that tremendous, right? I mean, T2, T4, sure, but then we start to look at, 41st, 35, 16th, kind of, all over the place. Around the green, these guys didn't really finish all that well, so now we're starting to think around the green isn't all that important. Strokes gained putting, maybe a little important, but not all that important. All of a sudden, we start filtering to strokes gained on the approach, and you start to see these top 20s, top 10s, top 15s pop up. Okay, so that's validating what we originally saw with the strokes gained on the approach, right? That's good to know. Strokes gained off the tee. Okay, now we're starting to see Austin Eckroat, the winner there, right? We've seen him both in the when we filtered the strokes gained on the approach and off the tee. So last season, we definitely saw a lot of correlation between approach off the tee and then tee to green, right? Makes sense. Probably some of the strongest correlation, especially if we're saying putting's not all that important. Obviously, anyone that made their hay in this category performed pretty damn well. So approach off the tee, tee to green is going to be very important. And then up here is and this is just from last year, but the approach shot distribution, yeah, looking at last season or last year, we definitely see a lot of shots coming from that 175 to 200 range, and then a decent amount from the 150 to 175. If we want to come over here and validate it via the last few years over on BTN, we kind of see that same thing, right? 175, 2 different types of buckets, but really that middle ground and the longer approach is going to be where we're focusing. And same thing, last 3 years, you could see where they finished over here on the left, off the tee and the approach, certainly very green. As we start to scroll down around the green and putting, kind of a mixed bag, whereas approach stays pretty damn green. Green is good, by the way. So where do we go from making this model? So we know we want to focus on the approach. We know we want to focus on the driving distance. One thing that we didn't actually talk about yet, which I do want to mention, is par 3 scoring. Where are we at? The par 3s over par, right? Par 4s right on par, and then par 5 slightly under. So being able to score on those par 3s, there's not a single par 3 on the course that plays below par or even at par. So definitely going to be a good look there if we can get some par 3 scoring, which we have built in here. So this is what we have so far, and obviously we'll mess around with this maybe even just throughout the next couple days. So keep an eye on the pinned comment for the final plays. But driving distance, kind of trusting way back here, right? And those off the tee numbers we looked at. Driving distance built in for 10%. Tee to green, 15%. This is tee to green versus the field, not versus a baseline. So versus the field, where are they going to rank overall, right? Because that's how we're going to be able to, I guess, gain a little bit of an advantage. Approaches overall, right, 25%. And then we do have two different approaches. We have versus a baseline number here, 10% for the inside 150. Now, yes, we talked about the fact that, that doesn't matter all that much. And even looking at the course table, inside the 150, if we do filter to PGA, you could see PGA National, you could see not all that important. 33, it's like a top third. But I want to make sure that these guys are, especially if we're focusing on driving distance, we are focusing a little bit at least on these guys from a closer range. So maybe we should even say, let's bump this down to 8. And then we'll bump this up too, which the next one is kind of the important one, right? That strokes gained versus the field. So competing with the field here, rankings-wise, over 150 yards. We don't have that massive bucket built out for the 175 plus, but I like the over 150, and then we have 10% in that par 3 scoring. So if we go ahead and apply this, let's see where some of the names come out and where they rank within our model, because we'll filter it to the favorites in the tournament, which is what we have right here, and then kind of see who fits the bill. So Russell Henley, the number 2 guy in the tournament, 18th in terms of our model. Sepp Straka obviously having a very good year. Driving distance, 108. Actually, I kind of want to look at this versus the field. Let's see if we can do this. I guess it's just driving distance overall. Can we do strokes gained off the tee, driving accuracy? You know what? Maybe we'll just leave it as is. I could see this being, let's see, if we do any other sort of distance, let's leave it as driving distance overall. I was going to say if we can get anything built out to build it sort of like towards the field, but no, we'll just leave driving distance overall, which if we do take a peek at Sepp Straka, we could see where he ranks, on tour compared to average using this tool as well. You can see right here, he's about 3 strokes less than tour average. 69, nice, 0.6% in terms of accuracy. So the driving distance may not be there, but it looks like everything else is checking out. Par 3 scoring, his strokes gained, both from the shorter range and the important one here also looking good as well. So he's probably the first name that jumps out that I'm liking. Russell Henley, I guess not a terrible one. If we don't mind the Sepp Straka, we can't really mind the Henley, but I do think Sepp Straka's had, I guess you could say, a better season, right? We look at Russell Henley. Pebble Beach tied 5, nice, but only one played since then, T39. Sepp Straka, his last one got cut, but he had 1 top 7, 1 top 15 built in. So that's another name that I'm looking at. Par 3 scoring is going to be an issue for Daniel Berger. Let's go ahead and add Sepp Straka into our favorites there. Par 3 scoring looks like it's going to be a little tough for Daniel Berger, but he's playing some good golf. Decent course history here as well. Sure, we'll add him in there. And Taylor Pendrith, tee to green, 4th best in this field. I think we have to consider him. Driving distance as well, and everything else he does all right. We're going to want a little bit more. Here's one, Kurt Kitayama. Yeah, we'll favorite him, but the dude has been... the dude has been killing us lately, right? So he looks like someone that should fit the bill here. He is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th name on the board in terms of odds. He fits it well, but do we really need to, we've rolled them a couple times, I think at the Waste Management, and then last week Mexico, and he's let us down multiple times. So those are the top 10. Let's filter to the model here. And you guys are getting more of a look into what I do pre-recording this week, because I figured it wouldn't hurt to kind of just go through it, right? And you can kind of see my thought process. So here we go. We have model rankings now. Nicholas Norgard, the guy that almost came through for us last week. Honestly, not a bad look, but not the best, right? We had him right here. That was tough because these two guys crushed. And then he finished. I mean, we had a decent look from top 30 overall, but he did come through and make the cut for us. So yeah, maybe that's something that we could consider there. He definitely checks a lot of boxes here. Nikolai Hogard, This might be one that interests me. Number one guy right here in terms of the field, and number one in terms of versus the field. Number two, par 3 scoring. Number one, strokes gained approach overall. Course history here doesn't have much. 22 was cut. Let's see. Let's add him to favorites here. So we'll have our list in a second, but let's kind of break him down. So Mexico Open. In fact, you know what? Let's do a whole deep dive on him. Mexico Open for Nikolai was pretty good. No putting really, but again, we even said last week we're kind of throwing that out. Round 4 approach was incredible. Round 3 approach was good. Ball striking good. Tee to green, phenomenal, right? For both of these. Round 2, okay. Round 3. So round 1, he didn't play all that great. 4 bogeys, hit 5 fairways, 13 greens regulation though. Ball speed's definitely high, longer than tour average. The accuracy may worry me a little bit. I think that this could be a guy that we like, maybe in some matchup action as well. So Nikolai Højgaard, definitely something. How many favorites do we have right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let's keep going through and finding a few more because some of these guys do look like they fit it pretty well. JJ Spawn, kind of greening out the model here. Let's add him. Henrik Norlander, jeez. T13 last week, plus he's 200. Is that 200 to 1 to win this thing? I mean, makes sense. He hasn't had the best of seasons nor course history here, but holy crap, is he filling out the model, and especially coming into this recent form. Very nice. I don't think we're going to touch him at those odds, though, especially driving distance being an issue. JJ Spawn, I guess we can get away with because some of these other spots like that approach. But man, that keep that name in mind if you want this real dark horse, right? Henrik Norlander there. I don't think we're going to touch him. Pause. But I think that could be a fair look. Jonathan Vegas and Clanton were two guys that we were considering earlier. Decent. Both of these guys, not both, sorry, excuse me. One of these guys, Vegas, having decent course history. I mean, if we were to play him, we'd probably be looking in this range as well. Luke Clanton, obviously, we don't have too much of. Last time we saw him, at least tracked, was Waste Management. He got cut, but he's still decent when it comes to what we're looking for here, right? Few other names and some guys that we've liked so far this year. Michael Kim, and where is he? We had him earlier. Oh, Gary Woodland. Driving distance checks out. The strokes gained on the approach underneath or inside 150, not all that tremendous, but strokes gained 150 yards out, looking pretty good. And, throwing the fact that he's going to gain some strokes tee to green, I don't mind this whatsoever. So that's what we're doing. We look at the favorites, kind of see who fits the bill. We star some guys, right? And we're going to have a pretty extensive list pretty soon. And then we kind of whittle it down. So now we've gone through the favorites. We've gone through the model ranks. Now I like to focus on a couple of the key categories, and I filter by that, or sort by that, I should say. So who looks pretty damn good when it comes to strokes gained out 150? That also kind of fits the model. Do we go Joel Damon again? Potentially. Tom Hoge, one of our superstars from last year, right? Definitely has the strokes gained on the approach intact. We saw him 2 top 5s. He won it 3 years ago. 2 years ago, T5. Last year, he was cut, but I think Tom Hoge could definitely... Oh, we're looking at Sepp Straka. Tom Hoge, I was going to say, won it 3 years ago. That sounds like Straka. Tom Hoge here, T28 last year, has not had a good season so far, but I think it's worth considering, right? Then Lucas Glover, a guy that's cashed for us over and over again this year. I think we had him top 40 2 weeks ago, right? We had him in 2 matchups 2 weeks ago, and then we cashed him Pebble Beach as well. Okay, so this is what we're working with as of right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 guys. Yes, we have some driving distance concerns overall, but I'm focusing more on the approach. And you'll notice any of these guys that have driving distance concerns, they're top 10 in terms of strokes gained on the approach, and then top 10 in terms of strokes gained from that 150 and beyond. We do have a couple wild cards in here with the par 3 scoring, right? Sepp Straka, Højgaard, Lucas Glover, even JJ Spawn to some degree. If I were to rank these guys in terms of where I like them, I want to like Kurt Kitayama. I mean, he's got the shortest odds out of sort of this mid-range that we're looking at, right? Like him, Spawn, Kim, and say Clanton, if you want to put them all in the same sort of bucket. I would say that him having the shortest odds there, it makes sense to me. The this top tier Sepp Straka may be the one that I'm eyeing the most. Kurt Kitayama is definitely someone we consider, but he's burned us a few times. Where's Norgard? Norgard, another guy that's just greening out the model. We may like him this week yet again. Do we have odds for top 30 on him yet? No, but what are his top 20? Top 20 plus 260. We can go top 30 or top 40 for him probably. Might be a good make the cut guy. We probably will do another parlay of make the cut, right? So I would say these are the 14 guys that I'm definitely liking. In order of, some of the guys that I may throw out, we'd probably be looking at, honestly, Tom Hoagie. I like Joel Damon, but that driving distance is a concern. It's tough. This is tough. I think we have a pretty good list here. We have a pretty good list. A fair mix of good form, bad form, but then we do have a few guys towards the top here that have some recent history that looks very good, right? Like even Daniel Berger in the last 5 years. Yes, that's a lot of years, but 2 top 5s there. Don't mind that. Kurt Kitayama, the one time in the last 3 years, top 3. So I think that we have a pretty good list here. Straka, Berger, Pendrith, we didn't really talk much about him. He's probably another guy that I do think is worth keeping in just based on his tee to green performance here over the last 22 rounds. I think we have it in there, but overall, not a guy that I'm like overly loving. He does have the distance, right? Like if we look at him, he's 15 yards over course average and he's accurate. So sure, that's important, but his strokes gained on the approach over his last 24 rounds, it's really in that smaller bucket. We don't see much of it from the larger bucket. If we look at his last 10 rounds, same sort of story, right? So, let's see. He's really only this season had a couple really good strokes on the approach, but the tee to green and off the tee are good. So I'd keep him in there, but probably not be as heavy on him. So maybe he's another. I'd say Hoagie, Pendrith. There's a couple guys on here that maybe sort of throw out names, but overall, I think this is a pretty good list if we mix and match with some places. So I imagine you see a bunch of these names in our final plays there. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up, guys. Again, we tried this a little bit different. Instead of all of the research being done prior to, obviously I had the names and sort of what I was looking for. We didn't go in blind, but kind of wanted to take it in more of a, you see my website by website, tab by tab approach and kind of building that list of like what we'd consider our pool to choose from, guys. So let me know in the comments if you do like that. Go ahead and comment 17. You made it past the 17-minute mark. These golf videos are really fun to do, and I love betting on and watching golf. It's not going to get the same amount of views as our NBA or NFL videos, MLB videos. I get that, but I'm still loving it. So let me know in the comments if you guys are enjoying it as well. And if you are watching and hearing me say this, you're kind of in that niche little group here on the Guy Boston channel, which I love to see. So yeah, very excited for this week because, again, some names we like, some are kind of like meh. But much like last week, there is some sort of hidden value to find in these tournaments that aren't the most crazy fields and that type of thing. You know what I mean? So I do like that to some degree as a deep golf fan. But that's going to wrap it up for today's video. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.